we don't want to just walk in and start whipping and say, go. We do this in steps. So the first thing I'm going to do is point to her, the direction I want her to go. The reason we do this is we don't want to always use this. We want to refine away from this. So I'm going to point first, then I'm going to cluck to her, kiss to her, whatever, cue you want to use. Then I'm going to swing this to get her to go. So eventually we want to wean her off this and just have her go with just a point. Okay, so that's the hardest thing for people to get with this, is getting those cues down. So you just always remember, you point. See how she just looked at me like, whatever. Okay, so I'm going to cluck to her. Still didn't go, right? So I'm just going to put a little motivation behind her. Okay, when she does the right thing, I'm going to go here to a neutral position. There, see how I didn't have to use the stick that time? So you want to be very aware. Now, we want her to trot right now. So here's another thing. If we want her to trot and she goes back to a walk, that's a disrespect. She's doing what she wants. So every time she goes back to a walk, I'm going to point and cluck to her. We want her to trot and stay at the same gait until we ask for something else. Now, if you'll notice, I'm slightly behind her front shoulder as I walk around here. If you go behind the front shoulder, the front leg right there, this means go forward. If you go in front of that shoulder, it means stop or change directions. Okay, so when we're getting direction, we want to stay behind that shoulder. Okay, so I'm going to point. See how her butt's always to me? You're going to see that change here in a minute. She's always going to come to me and look at me. Okay, so I'm just going to, every time she goes back to a walk, I'm just going to push her back into that trot. Now I'm just sitting here as long as she's doing the right thing. I'm just going to keep here with a real idle body position. Your body language means everything to these horses. And if you start confusing that, you're going to confuse them. So every time she goes back to a walk right now, I'm just going to push her back up. See how I'm not using this already? Now, some subtle things to watch for, and I'm going to ask you guys questions and see if you can look at her body and tell me, is she paying attention to me right now? And if she is, how can you tell? Good. Left ear's looking at me. Okay. Other things to watch for, if their heads are pointing to the outside of the corral, which most of them will if they're pushed too hard, that's a sign that she's just looking other places. So right now she's looking at me, having me, what does he want me to do? What does he want me to do? So we're just going to travel for a minute. Let her warm up a little, and then, so what we're going to do, if you watch my body language, if I want her to pick up a canter, I'm going to have to be more assertive than I did at a trot. See how easy that was right there? Okay, so if I want her to canter for a minute, I'm going to point, cluck, then I'm going to pick up my body language until she canters, and then I'm going to relax. Okay, now I'm just going to let her travel there for a minute. If she goes back to a trot, push her back up. So see, we want her to go what we're asking for. Now, if you notice, is she on the right lead? You guys know how to tell leads? Because I'm not pushing her and forcing her into something. She's always going to pick up the lead. So going left. See how she picked up her left lead? Okay, now when I want her to come to me or face me, I'm going to step out in front. Okay. And I pushed her the other way. So you see how she came to me instead of into the fence? Now watch her gaits as we do this. See how she's staying at a trot for me now? She's already respecting what I'm asking. Ears always looking at me. Okay, so I'm glad you asked that, because I get people all the time who've been riding horses their whole lives and they don't know what a lead is. It's okay. If a horse is traveling to the right, man, I'm out of shape. If a horse is traveling to the right and you ask for a canter, you want this right front leg to lead. Okay, so if you'll watch, she'll go like this on the right and like this on the left. So watch, we'll ask for the canter. You tell me if she's on the correct lead. Okay, see how that right leg is the one leading in the front? That's a right lead, and we are traveling right. Okay? Very few horses will pick up the wrong lead unless you're causing it. Okay, so we'll ask for it again. There it is. See how she made that little correction and got her right lead, the lead. Okay, so watch, we'll step out in front of her, draw her to us, point the other way. Now, can you see what's happening right there? I'm asking her to change direction. She's wanting to stay looking at me. That's an awesome problem to have. Now, if you'll notice, it took me a little bit to get her going at first. Now watch this. Now that she's really paying attention. So she's a right-handed horse. She picks up the right lead a lot easier than the left. Okay, so I'll back away, pull her to me. So this is a super, now see how you guys are standing there? So she's looking relief for you guys. See the licking and chewing? That's a sign of, I'm thinking, I'm wondering what you want me to do. So if she doesn't come to me, I'm just gonna, there, see that? Looks easy, huh? It really is once you understand the, so if you'll notice, I told you to stay behind the front shoulder to get her to go forward, right? If I were to do this to get her to face me, most horses will run from you. So as she's going around, you want to step in front of her shoulder and back away. And that will draw that eye towards you, okay? So right now, I didn't ask her to change direction, so she just stayed and faced me. Now, she's not hooked up to me. Let me show you how that works. So once you get her facing you, then you can walk in and pet her. So the release of pressure, you heard this, right? Pressure and release. This is the release of all the pressure we've been putting on her that lets her know she did the right thing, okay? So we'll pet her, tell her she's pretty, kiss her on the cheek if you want, do whatever, okay? Now, if I walk away, she should come with me, okay? Instead of walk away, this means she's paying attention to me now. See how she turned away from you guys? Now, if she stops, so if you walk out in this pasture, do you have horses that are hard to catch? One? Okay. Okay. Well, we already know that. Justin said that. So if we put Uber in here and we teach him that the most comfortable place in the world is right here, when you go out in a pasture, they may test you sometimes, but if you can draw him back to you, he won't be hard to catch anymore. So we're teaching them that the best place to be is by the human. Okay, so if I walk away right here, if she doesn't follow me, that's okay. I'm just going to put a little pressure on her butt and then back away. So see, that time she left me. Okay, so I'm going to put her back out here. We want her to know that because all horses are lazy and don't want to work. So even her, when she gets hyper, she'd rather not work. She's just been pushed into, okay, so then I'll draw her back to me. Okay, so that's exactly what you want right there. If she were to turn away and go the other way, you just put them back out on the circle and work them. Okay, so she's not joined up to me where every time she comes, she's just right to me, and that's what we kind of want. So every time I go in and do this, and I like to do it on both sides and just rub them all over. Now, if I walk away and I've petted her, see how she left me? Okay, so we're going to put her back out here. We don't want to force them to be in with us. We want it to be their idea. See how she wants to face me now because this is work? So even though this is a broke barrel horse, how old is she, do you know? I was going to say, she looks like she's high teens. So this horse is probably just watching her. She's been able to kind of, you know how people corner them in a corral and have them in this little school of fish in the corner, and then you walk up and catch them. We don't want them to do that. See how right there she wanted to come to me? Now watch this. So back away. Take all the pressure off her. Okay, so this lets her know that, hey, every time he does that and I relax, I don't have to work anymore. So what's going to happen, the more we do this, see how her first reaction was kind of turned to go, but now she's going, but wait. Every time I turn away, I have to work. Good girl. Yeah, I do that with all of them, on a young horse especially, that's never ever been trained or ridden or anything. If you turn their back, anytime you're facing a horse, it's somewhat of a threat, whether it's a real threat or whether it's just you standing there looking at them. But if you turn away, it takes all the pressure away. Okay, so I'll always do that at first, and then once they learn it, you don't have to. But okay, so now I have nothing on her, and she's obeying everything I ask. Oh, see that? All body language. Okay, so if you get a horse that doesn't stop, that kind of walks past you, you just pick up your body language. Ask me all the questions about body language that you have, because it's the most important thing in the world. Okay, so if you get one that walks past, you go, whoa, and make it be something she says, God, he wants me to do something. Then you can refine it and stop and say, whoa. See how before she turned away from me? So I can turn her into a cutting horse now, probably. See how she back and forth? Now that time she wanted to come to you guys. There, she made the right decision that time. Good girl. Good girl. Okay, so now let me tell you a little secret to this. Once that you've got them hooked up to you, and this is where they get to relax, you put them out, you do your work, and every time you do the work and then let them in, this gets better and better. They won't want to leave your side for anything. Okay, so you see, we don't have the stick and string now, so watch this. There's the point and the cluck. No stick. If I want her to trot, pick up my body and then relax. So if you'll notice, I'm just in an idle spot right here. As long as she's trotting and doing what I want, I'll just let her. If she doesn't, see where the hookup's starting to come in now? And you'll notice they'll start getting a little closer to you. They won't stay as far out on the round pen. Okay, if I want a canter, there's the canter, and then you relax. Step in front, draw their eye, push her the other way. Now right here, if she were to turn, because she's not totally facing me, if she were to turn that way, I would go back and push her back the original direction. Okay. The other thing she's looking at me, but she's not facing me. So I can look at her butt. Okay, see how I drew her that time? Now I can point this way. She wants to stay with me. So there's your change of direction. Now we're going to the left. Okay, so you wondered about leads. Tell me if she picks up the left lead. She's a little bit lazy with the canter, so. Now see, I haven't touched her with this. This is all just on the ground. If she doesn't start cantering for me, I'll tap her on the top of the tail lightly until she does. There you go. Now, is she on the right lead? Or the correct lead, I should say. See, she's picking it up every time. Now watch. Draw, switch direction. So there's your switch of directions. Now, here's the secret to this. Somebody asked me, how do they know when you want them to face you and come to you or change direction? Okay, that's a subtle cue. You asked me if I turn away from her. That's one of the reasons I do that. So here. Now, see what I did to change direction? Okay, she went the wrong way, so I'll go back here, draw her, there, and then she pushed over. So that's important to make sure you get that change facing you. Uh-huh. Yeah, there's a lot of things that'll cause that. One of them is she was taught that at a younger time, or she's not giving me two eyes and facing me completely. So when I ask for that, she's got an option to go either way. So what we want when she faces me is that. Because then when you push her, she's already started that way. See that? If she doesn't face you, then you're almost pushing her into the fence. And I'll show you that. Once we get really good control of them, you can look at their butt and they'll scoot their butt away from you and face you. And I'll show you. So if I want to, the upwards transitions are pretty easy. So she's walking right now, I'll point, cluck. Okay, there's a trot. If I want her to canter, I pick it up. Believe it or not, she's kind of lazy on the ground. Okay, now watch this. If I want to go back to a trot, I'll take a big deep breath and relax. There's the trot. If I want her to walk, okay, that's the cool part. It's all what you're doing right here. So see right here, if I stay nice and idle and now she's wanting to trot. She was a little lazy before. So what I want to do is I just want to stand here totally relaxed until she walks. Okay, there's your walk. If I want her to trot, there's the trot. See how these are getting easier every time? Back to a walk. Okay, I have no control of that. She's doing it all totally on her own. Okay, so we'll go back to a canter. There, she picked it up pretty nice that time. Okay, relax, big deep breath, go back to a trot. There's your walk. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, so just a little side note, when you've got people that are here and they see that right there and they're the ones doing it, game changer, guaranteed. That's huge. Gives me cold chills, and I've been doing it 30 years. Okay, so, okay, now if we want to change the direction, bring her in, change directions. See how we're meshing all this together now? We'll try the transitions from this side. So we'll point. There's canter. Okay, big deep breath, trot. There's your walk. See how she's wanting to come to me? So we'll get a walk first.